Now to the aggressive immigration crackdown in Minnesota. The Trump administration is now planning to appeal a judge's decision limiting immigration officers' actions against protesters there. It comes as the Department of Justice says it will be investigating a group of protesters who interrupted a church service where a local ICE official serves as a pastor. Let's bring in MS Now national reporter Rosa Flores from Minneapolis, former ICE acting director John Sandwig, and immigration attorney Alan Orr. Rosa, I know you've spoken with local business owners about the tactics that are happening there. What have they been telling you?
Anna, they say that there's a lot of fear, that there's a lot of anxiety. This street where I am, this is the heart of the Hispanic community. Every festival imaginable happens here, and there's usually this hustle and bustle that you don't hear right now. I talked to the owner of this business. It's a taco place, and it's one of the only restaurants that's open in this area. I talked to the business owner. He says that a lot of his friends have either been taken by ICE or their workers are too afraid to go to work. And that's why some of these businesses are closed. He says he knows of at least 10. ICE, by the way, had been in the back parking lot in the back of this restaurant. And ever since then, he says that he has locked his door. He actually assigns one of his employees to lock the door after every customer goes in and every customer coming out. Take a listen.
So everybody's really scared. You were telling me that normally this street is really busy, that all of the restaurants are open, but that now that the restaurants on this street are closed.
The Plaza Mexico, la business is closed. Not all the street, maybe I have 10 restaurants, all is closed. And the back is one more, and the other street on the side, all is closing. All the people just scared, coming open the doors. For the last couple of days ago, the immigration is everywhere.
And Anna, he says that his message to anybody who has a voice, who has a vote, he says use it, because today it's the immigrant community in Minnesota that is being targeted. Tomorrow it could be another community in another state. Anna.
Rosa, Kristi Noem, the DHS secretary, has called what's happening in Minnesota the largest or biggest DHS operation ever. She posted yesterday touting 10,000 arrests of criminal undocumented immigrants in Minneapolis, with 3,000 in the last 6 weeks. Can you fact check that for us? What do we know about those who've been detained or arrested?
Anna, what we know is that DHS has been issuing press releases periodically with the names of individuals that they have arrested, with their mugshots, with allegations of crimes that they have committed. And last I checked, we are still living in America, which means you are innocent until proven guilty. It's unclear if some of those crimes that are listed for the individuals in those press releases have been adjudicated. But here's what I do know, and here's the reality check based on everybody that I've talked to here, not just protesters, but city leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, business owners. Everybody knows somebody who's been picked up by ICE here. And everybody that I talk to says that these are workers, a lot of the times just individuals who want to make a living. Dads, moms who want to make a living for their families, and they're picked up on their way to work, at a restaurant, on their way to school because they're dropping off their children. And so what the administration is saying a lot of the times doesn't match the reality on the ground, what we're hearing from the community. Anna?
Rosa Flores, thank you for your reporting there. So, John, this morning the DOJ says it's going to appeal a judge's order limiting federal agents' actions against protesters. And under this order, federal agents can't detain or arrest protesters unless there is reasonable suspicion of a crime. They can't use non-lethal munitions on peaceful protesters. They can't stop and detain drivers if they're not forcibly interfering. Why appeal this? Does any of that hinder their ability to do immigration enforcement?
Yeah, no, I mean, of course not. And look, when you look on its face, basically what the court has said here is follow the law, right? Really nothing more than that. Follow the law, follow the Constitution. The issue, of course, for the agency is it's about oversight and accountability. By issuing an injunction or an injunction like this, it provides an opportunity for individuals now to bring individualized cases to the court, and the court can impose a level of oversight that I think the administration obviously doesn't want. But of course, Anna, as we've talked about before, what we are seeing is a byproduct of a couple of things. One is it's agents out of position. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, especially with the U.S. Border Patrol presence. They are being asked to do things that they do not traditionally do. They enforce the law in very dangerous area, and they use a level of aggression that we are now seeing play out when they are put in a position where they shouldn't be, which is in the streets of Minneapolis. And I will say this, you cannot deploy the Border Patrol agents there without knowing what you're going to get, without wanting to see these images there play out on the scenes. But that is the contributing factor here. But at the end of the day, for the administration, this is about oversight, and the fear is here now that a judge has said follow the law, that it can gives that additional layer of somebody watching them that they have just, again, consistently tried to avoid.
Alan, from a legal perspective, where do you see this appeal going?
Nowhere. I think we should pretty much also follow the narrative, because when this ruling first came out, we had the secretary come on television and say, oh, we were already doing these things. These are the law. We never violated these things. So why would there be a need to appeal after you already stated that this was the standard? And then if you were doing the standard, why are there so many videotapes from different people, protesters, saying there's something differently? So I don't think the challenge is going to go far, because it's running up against the constitutional protections of citizens of the United States.
John, DHS officials, including Secretary Noem, have insisted Americans have not been detained by immigration agents in recent months. That's just not true. We know of individual cases. When you are at ICE, typically, what kinds of interactions did the agency have with citizens? What were the rules when it came to approaching or even questioning Americans, let alone arresting them?
Yeah, well, of course, Anna, the rules are follow the law, right? Which is you cannot detain an American citizen or anyone without reasonable suspicion, or in certain instances, probable cause that they have violated our immigration laws. The problem here is that during the Obama administration, and even really during the first Trump administration, typically ICE would not go out into the field like we are seeing today without knowing exactly who their target is and exactly what their immigration history is. So now what's happened is we've put these ICE agents and Border Patrol agents doing more canvassing style operations. And the administration likes to call these targeted, but they're not targeted in the sense that they know exactly who they're going out after to get. And now they have to make a determination as to whether or not there's probable cause or reasonable suspicion that somebody is either an American citizen or they're not. Of course, the agents are not taking the word of individuals when they say, I'm an American citizen. And let me just say one other thing quickly, Anna. It is not easy when you are born in the United States for DHS to determine your citizenship. There is no national database of people born in the United States. If you naturalized, there's an immigration record of that. But what's happening now is you're putting these, we created a situation where agents are saying, all right, based on things like the color of your skin, based on an accent, based on whether you speak a foreign language, make a decision as to whether you're a citizen, and there's no easy way to check. And that means the detention takes longer while they try to get state records and look at birth records. So this is a very difficult position, and something that, again, if we revert it back to targeted operations, you're not dropping the ball, you're not favoring criminal aliens, but you can get back to a situation where you have less of these interactions without diminishing enforcement.
Yeah, just last hour we were showing some video and highlighting a case where a man in St. Paul, Minnesota was taken from his house. He's a naturalized U.S. citizen. He said that agents didn't give him a chance to get his ID, to verify his citizenship. There he is. And they pulled him out of his house wearing a blanket and his underwear. He said he was embarrassed, and ultimately he was released. Meantime, Alan, some other images coming in I want to get your take on. There were protests at a church service on Sunday where we've learned one of the pastors leads a local ICE field office. The DOJ says they're now investigating these protesters. Is there any legal line as it relates to free speech and where it happens, in a church versus on the street, for example?
Right. I think there are some lines, and no one should be disrupting this religious service that was happening. And I don't think that it was about disrupting the legal service. It was about the individual who was in the church and their relationship to what they're doing in the immigration capacity as an official there. And I think the real challenging issue now is, what are law students learning today about the Constitution and how far ICE should go? It is statutory that ICE has no effect over United States citizens. And now they're mandating that American citizens carry around proof of citizenship, which is not mandated anywhere in the law. And they're randomly stopping people, which is protected by the Fourth and the Fifth Amendment. So many of these challenges are changing the way we view protections for everyone. And it's not really for everyone. It's really for Black and brown people when we talk about it. And the real test is when they are stopped, the question is, why are you stopping me? And if the only answer is, I speak Spanish, or you look like an immigrant, it's a problem and a violation of the law. And the court really needs to step in quickly to adjust some of these issues that we've moved far away from in our enforcement procedures, because there's a better and quicker way to do this. What's happening in Minneapolis was created. This was a choice. It did not have to happen this way.
Alan Orr, John Sandwig, thank you both for educating us on the rules and the laws and the rights that different groups have in this country. Thank you so much.